All right, welcome back. More volume problems for us to do, more volume for us to learn. Volume of pyramids. I think that one's going to go pretty quick for all of you. It's a lot like volume of prisms, except we're dealing with pyramids, which are kind of like triangles. So at the end, we have to make one little adjustment, just like we do when we find the area of a triangle. And we'll talk about that down here below when we get to the formula. But first of all, just like volume of prisms, we've got a big B and a little b. Little b just represents the length of a side of our shape. And we don't really worry about that in our problems, but I just want you to know the difference between little b and big B. Big B represents the area of the base of the pyramid. Now, there's a few things that make pyramids easier and more difficult than prisms. I think it's a lot easier to find the base because, well, the base is the part that's not pointy, right? When you think about a pyramid, looking at this shape, if I were to give it to you sideways, it's still pretty obvious where the base is because it's a pyramid. The base is always going to be opposite your pointy side. So I don't feel like we're going to have as much confusion figuring out what part of the shape is the base, but we do have to be careful when we use our formula that we remember we're dealing with lots of triangles. Okay? So our formula for the volume of a pyramid is a lot like our formula for prisms. The volume is going to equal big B multiplied by the height of our pyramid, which can be a little confusing to find sometimes because we have two different heights. We have slant height and we have height. Slant height is the length or the height of the sides of the pyramid. The height that we're looking for isn't the slanted height. It's how high it is from the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid. And the way that they usually represent that is this weird floating line in the middle of our pyramid. So if you look at the first example, we have this line going down the middle with a 90-degree mark at the bottom, but it's just kind of floating in the middle all by itself, not really pointing to anything. And same with these other ones. Right here in the middle, we have this weird 90-degree line that represents the height of our pyramid. And in this one, we've got this other one floating just kind of out here in the middle. Those all represent the height of the pyramid, which is what we want H to represent. So H is going to be the height of the pyramid. And in parentheses, I'm going to put not the slant height. Those are two very different things. So we're looking for the height of the pyramid, not the slant height. And then B, just like before, B represents the area of the base. But we're dealing with pyramids. We're not dealing with prisms. If I were to put this formula in, that would give me a prism. That would be what we did yesterday. I would have a shape like these. But I don't. I have this weird shape, this pyramid that starts with a base, and instead of just stacking the base up, the base gets smaller. As we get closer and closer to the top, my base gets smaller and smaller till I get to the top and it's just a point. So what I need to do to adjust for the fact that my base is changing is after I do base times height, I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to divide that by 3. Now triangles we divide by 2 if I were to just find the area of a triangle, but now we're in 3 dimensions. So I have to divide by 3. So I find the area of my base, times it by my height, and then divide it by 3 because I'm in 3 dimensions and I don't have a prism. Other than that, it's exactly like what we did yesterday. So this first shape, it kind of gives you a lot of the information for you. It tells me that I have a base, my big B is 12. And if I look at the picture, I'm looking for the height of my shape, which is this line going right up the middle, which is 15. So my formula, my volume, is going to equal big B times H, so 12 times height, which is 15, But this is a pyramid. It's not a prism, so I need to remember to divide that by 3. So 12 times 15 divided by 3. You can put that in your calculator, and you end up getting 60 meters cubed. That would be the volume of that pyramid. Okay? Now let's look at this one down below. This one doesn't give me big B. I've got to figure out my base, and I've got to figure out my height. So the first thing I'm going to look for is kind of my floating line in the middle, my H. I'm going to look for my H first, and if I look, this line has 90 degrees, but it connects these two sides. This 4-foot line connects. This one in the middle is just kind of floating. So I know that that one represents my height, which is 6 feet. So my H is going to be 6, which means if that's my height, this triangle right here on the bottom is my triangle. Oh, excuse me. You know what? I read my picture wrong. Again, this is why we have to be careful with our pyramids. This 6 feet, that arrow, I thought it was pointing to a different line. This arrow is pointing to the line that's going across my base. And this 4 feet is representing the height, of my pyramid. So I'm going to change that to 4. And that's how easy it is to make a mistake on these. You got to be really careful with the pictures and make sure that the lines are pointed to the right thing. This 4 foot I thought was representing our line back here, which doesn't make a lot of sense because this side is 5 and they need to be the same. So our H is 4, and now we're looking for our big base, which is down here on the bottom. And I've got a side of my big base that's 5 feet, and I've got the height, the slant height of my base, the height of my triangle. I know there's so many heights that we're dealing with. My triangle is 6 feet tall, this one on the bottom. So it's 5 by 6. So big B is going to equal 5 times 6, but it's a triangle, so I need to remember to divide by 2. So 5 times 6 is 30, divided by 2 gives me 15. All right, so I have H, I have big B. Now let's plug those in. Volume equals big B, which is 15, times height, H, which is 4. 15 times 4, and then I need to remember to divide that by 3. So 15 times 4 is 60, and then when I divide 60 by 3, I end up with 20 feet squared. So cubed. We're doing volume, 20 feet cubed. See, lots of little mistakes we can make in those problems, even trying to walk you through them. So we've got 20 feet cubed. That represents how much water, how much liquid, how much sand, how much anything will fit nacho cheese, right? How much nacho cheese will fit inside this pyramid. Which one do I want to do for you? I want you to try the story problem, and I want you to try this one on your own. So let's just use these numbers here for our third example. It gives me the base. I don't even know what this is. The base of this object could be a square, it could be an octagon, it could be a pentagon, it could be a rectangle. It doesn't tell me. It just tells me that the base is 54 square feet and that the height is 7. So volume equals 54, the area of the base, times the height, 7, divided by 3. So 54 times 7 divided by 3, I'm going to plug that into my calculator. 54 times 7 divided by 3, and when I hit enter, I'm going to get 126 feet cubed. So 126 feet cubed. Now I feel like that's enough example for you guys. Hopefully you can figure out how to read the pictures. Be really careful. You saw me make a mistake right here. It's that simple to do. Make sure that you look carefully, that you make sure the number that you think represents your line is the correct number. I want you to do this triangle down here in the bottom, this triangular pyramid. I want you to do this pyramid right here, whatever it is. No, I don't. Just kidding, because you know what? That's the same one that we did right here. So you're only going to be doing 2 problems. I didn't realize that those were the same. You've got this pyramid down here at the bottom and here in the middle. It gives you a story problem. It gives you a lot of the information for the picture. Just read it very carefully, figure out your big B, the base of the area of the base, and figure out your height. When you're finished with these two problems, go show them to the substitute. If everything looks good, if you did them correctly, she'll give you the practice for today. And when I get back tomorrow, we'll go through these problems and hopefully catch up anything that you missed. But I feel like you guys can handle these on your own. Good luck.